Kaya, and good afternoon, everybody. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with all of you today, and I can see a lot of familiar faces of my former colleagues and some on the poster here as well. So it's lovely to be back with the scientific community. Before I start, I would begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this land, the Whadjuk Noongar people, and pay my respects to the elders past and present. This is a gorgeous country, and I came chasing my scientific dreams, and it has been an absolute privilege to be working on this beautiful country and learning about how the entire world is connected through the lens of DNA. And I would also like to extend my thanks to Dr. Kelly Pierce, Director of the WA Agricultural Research Collaboration Work, and the many dedicated members of this collaboration. And a special acknowledgement to the scientific community, researchers, technicians, field officers, and academics who work tirelessly, often behind the scenes, to protect our ecosystems, food systems, and the future of agriculture through evidence-based science. So I would like to say thank you. Your work is invaluable, and today's symposium is a testament to that. And it's an absolute privilege to be representing the Honorable Jackie Jarvis, MLC, who is the Minister for Agriculture and Food at this inaugural Polyphagus Short Whole Borer Research Symposium. She's an amazing and a very inspiring colleague that I get to work on a daily basis in the Legislative Council. And as a scientist who began in plant protection, focusing on the entomology, the study of the insects, and later moved to plant pathology, doing my PhD here at UWA in the molecular biology and genetic space, I've studied some really extraordinary insects over the years, and I'll admit that I have a bit of a soft spot for these creepy crawlies. I really find them very cute, and normally my family looks at me like, really, you find this little bug and cute? And I was like, yes, and I have always been fascinated by all these forms of life that we see around us. But this tiny beetle, although I did my master's in biological control working with Zygogramma bicolorata, which was another beetle, but that was from a different perspective than this beetle, completely opposite. This one is a little too clever for comfort for me. And I thought that let's begin by unpacking that a little bit more. I know in this room, a lot of you already are experts in this area, but I was really fascinated following this journey of short borer, Polyphagus short borer in WA, since it has been identified first from a scientific point of view. It's really interesting that how this beetle is a great example of one women army, you know, whether you like it or not, but it's really what I call a reproductive superpower this species has got. A single female, just one female, is enough to start an entire colony. She lays eggs without needing a male first. Her sons hatch and she mates with them. Yes, it's really weird, but scientifically so fascinating. And from this, she produces more daughters. This biological quirk, also known as haplodiploidy, is like giving a build your own army power. And she doesn't need to find a mate out there. She brings her own. And it's super fascinating to also know that it's not just that she's capable of starting the own army, but then also brings in the lunchbox, which is the fungus, right? And it's not the beetle which kills the plants or the trees that we've loved. It's actually the fungus, because this beetle has to have that fungus to do well inside the trees to be able to flourish. And that's where I think we can call them farmers, part of the farming community. They are really lovely fungal farmers. And they're turning the tree into a mushroom farm, but unfortunately it kills the tree from inside out. And that's a silent killer that not many in the public know about. The favorite species of this PSHP, not just a couple, but in WA, it has been able to cause havoc, because there's about 235 different types of trees, and many of them aren't just visiting hosts. They are full breeding grounds, and that's where the damage and the level of catastrophe comes from. Even more worrying, 38 of these are native Australian trees, including casuarinas and melaleucas that help stabilize our wetlands and riverbanks. It's not just bad news for the urban greenery. This pest could have serious consequences for biodiversity and horticulture, and I think that's where the emergency and the urgency is coming from. And as I said, I have been curious about this pest as it was discovered in WA, so I have been following the journey very, very closely. And I learned that it's a global pest. It's not that it's WA for the first time experiencing this, and it has made itself home in California, Israel, South Africa, Taiwan, and several other countries. And no country has ever successfully eradicated it. Once it got established in the open environment, that's pretty much it. And there's a beautiful review that I came across while I was preparing my speaking notes by Papa et al. In the Biological Invasions in 2023, which has actually described all the countries and what has happened in there. So given the detection in WA was made relatively early in the invasion curve and the potential impacts of this pest, our biosecurity team here in WA delivered the state's largest ever biosecurity response to contain the borer to the Perth metropolitan area and to attempt to eradicate it. So a big shout out. I think they deserve a round of applause for this one. The amount of work that has gone into that. So despite the enormous effort, our experience here has mirrored exactly what has happened in other parts of the world. And that isn't about the effort, and it's all about the biology, as we all know about this beetle. So WA is not alone in facing these challenges, but we do have an opportunity to lead in managing it effectively. And I think that's where we need to focus all our efforts and mental space moving forward from here. The WA government is firmly committed to protecting our state's plants, trees, and agricultural industries from destructive pests and diseases. With rising global temperatures, trade and travel biosecurity threats are not just increasing, they are evolving on a daily basis. But having said that, our technologies and our capacity in the scientific spaces have also been going leaps and bounds on a daily basis. So in response, the government has committed 30.8 million in 2025 alone to strengthen WA's biosecurity. That's how seriously we take this. The Polyphagus short hole borer incursion in WA has been the subject of an extensive nationally coordinated biosecurity response. You will be aware of the recent announcement that the National Management Group has determined it no longer technically feasible to eradicate this from WA. I assure you the national response has not stopped. Since 1st of July 2025, DBIRD has been leading the delivery of the next phase of the response, which will transition from an eradication response to a management response, management approach over the next 18 months. And as part of this transition, activities will be undertaken to slow the spread of the short hole borer, minimize the impact of this pest on Perth's urban tree canopy, and protect WA's horticultural industries and environment. We will be working with local government authorities and industry over the next few months to look at the transitional arrangements and opportunities for capacity building among both local government and communities. This will include considering support available for tree management in inner metropolitan areas. And I understand that DBIRD will provide you with more information on the current state of play later today. So to support this new phase, the WA government has committed 2.17 million to 3 major WARC-led research projects over the next 3.5 years. These projects will explore chemical and biological control strategies, early detection technologies, including molecular and remote sensing tools, mapping the beetle fungus tree triangle, and predictive modeling to forecast future hotspots and risk zones. And I'm sorry, but I couldn't help myself looking if there was a genome available for the short hole borer. It's not a very big size, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's fully mapped, because that will come in really, really handy. And also the fungus. These fungus species are really tricky, so I look forward to see more. My computer doesn't do the same searches from the Parliament access as I used to do at UWA, so I I couldn't be very sure on that one. But this is a whole of state effort bringing together DPIRT, CSIRO, and leading researchers from our universities. It is a science at its most collaborative and its most urgent, like Team WA, we always do it. Biosecurity is not just the responsibility of scientists or government. It is a shared task, one that belongs to local councils, landowners, industries, and every community member who values our forests, gardens, and green spaces. Since 2021, we've built strong momentum through monitoring, community action, and early response. The road ahead is different, but we are not starting from scratch. We're building from a strong foundation and applying the best scientific tools. We must manage that threat intelligently. And I look forward to the insights and progress from these work projects very, very closely. Thank you for your commitment to protecting Western Australia's environment and agriculture for the future. Thank you so much for having me today.